Yo, what's up guys? Non-Zero here. Welcome to another video. Now this video is going to be talking about control in Shadowverse. What is it? How does it work? Where is it going? Can it exist? Now, as you know, as you may know, Cygame's philosophy has generally been that they want fast games. To some extent, this is why we have cards like say pre-nerf Grimnir and pre-nerf Spawn of the Abyss. They really like flashy things like that, and they really like, games like ending in a very, very impromptu fashion. Now, obviously, for the player base, generally the player base feels differently. Now, one thing that I like, because this has been like a universal constant for me, is that no matter what game I go to, the player base usually clamors for control decks. Now, it's interesting because every player wants a control deck, but no one actually wants to see the control deck, be top tier. Just because control is kind of frustrating for people. Well, I mean, every archetype is frustrating for someone to deal with, but in particular, control is like usually more frustrating for a lot of people. Now, roomnoxii recently asked me, because he was participating in my Ask Non-Zero for week 9, which again, anyone can participate in this. You basically just need to like find me, tag me, ask me a question. You can ask it to me on social media. You can ask me it on Discord, on YouTube, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just find me and ask the question. And his question was, due to Cygame's philosophy in creating a CCG that finishes quickly, how can control continue to exist in the Shadowverse environment, or is it just a pipe dream? Other combo decks, i.e. Seraph and D-Ship, at the moment are able to finish in mid-range speeds, while removal / grinder control takes much longer time to get going. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this question was a very, very difficult question for me to answer. The reason why is because when people play control, people want like different things for control, and my example of a control deck might differ from your like example of what control deck is. For me, from the games I've been playing, I think that there are two or three different ways to use it to play a control deck. There's like the Doomsday control deck, where you just you assemble some kind of like Doomsday machine, and you just like protect it while it just like gives space. Now, an example of this from Yu-Gi-Oh would be Evolsaur Logia. Now, Evolsaur Logia, it could negate any like one card that your opponent would play, and you would just play like a bunch of like spell and trap cards in the back to go ahead and either keep it alive or prevent your opponent from doing anything. Now, that's an example of a Doomsday one. Now, an example of the other kind, which is the kind that I personally prefer more, is the combo control one. Now, what I mean by that is that for this one, they have a lot of ways to win. However, they kind of like differentiate in how they can win, and they're not quite like combo, because combo, it seeks to win the same exact way each and every time. So in the case of D-Ship, you want to win by having that D-Ship come into play, but you taking 2 to 4 extra turns and just winning. But for the combo control one, now these can use things like say Zel Oro. Now, Zel Oro was a combo that I actually really enjoyed. Well, I enjoyed it personally, but that's obviously because I'm a Dragon player. But for all of you non-Dragon players out there, you probably did not enjoy taking 11 damage to your face and having that be able to go through 2 wards. Oh god, good times. But yeah, so it's just important to I guess figure out which kind it is that you want for this game, because I think that both can exist to some extent, because obviously you have the Doomsday control, and that of say Aegis from Aegis Haven. We're still waiting for a good combo control one now that we've lost Zel Oro, because there are a few that can exist. For example, a really sleeper card that I think well, it's not like super sleeper, but a really like sleeper card for like combo control decks is, I think, Dread Sea Queen. She's a really good card that can enable a lot of crazy combos. Like, for example, every single like deck has some form of like Dread Sea Queen combo that's really good. Like, for example, well, with the exception of Sword and I think Force, sort of. But as an example, me and Kiri, we were talking about Dread Sea Queen plus Andras plus no, sorry, not Erd, plus Ariad, I'm sorry, for 14 to 16 damage combo. And then, of course, like the Andras and the Erd are both good by themselves. So, but yeah, so let me go ahead and also scroll down to this, because like this for this particular question, I did not come to, well, right, I had an idea of what I wanted to say. However, I couldn't just, come to a conclusion on my own, because like this was a pretty open-ended question, which again, I don't mind. I actually really enjoyed it a lot, just because it gave me an opportunity to collaborate with my friend Gumi at ZSN. Because again, I've alluded to this before. She and I, we go ahead and we talk quite a bit. We've also played card games for more or less around the same amount of time overall, and generally she and I tend to have similar opinions, so it was a really good chance to go ahead and collaborate with her. But just to give you a quick general overview of what we're going to talk about next, the overall consensus that she and I came up with is that like win cons are too slow for the investment needed. Win cons are not quite as diverse, other than just beat your opponent in the face. There aren't, and the biggest one, there aren't actually good shells, partially due to the size of sets and also possibly due to core philosophy of the game itself. So here's an amalgamation of our thoughts. Now this is basically just like straight up just like copy pasted from the discussion that I was having with her. So obviously, like, some of these things are gonna be kind of like out of context, but I guess the way that would answer that is to say that it needs to be understood that control decks being super grinder, 15 to 20 turn decks isn't like the norm, which is true. Generally, for the most part, card games usually usually the majority of decks want to end by like turn 8 at the latest. But that's usually when grinder decks are kind of like going into full force. You can have a CCG whose philosophy is fast games that also has very playable and good control decks, which is true. Like the best example for this is like say Magic the Gathering, as well as say Eternal. Eternal has quite a few good control decks. Same for Magic as well. That's also because like the card pool is a lot bigger, and this is really huge for me because sometimes, as you see from like Wonderland Dreams, you run into this issue where like sometimes the theme for a set kind of like over, well, I mean, it's naturally gonna like over centralize the majority of the cards in the set. However, sometimes it over centralizes it in a way that like creates zero room for other styles of play. Now, in this case, for Wonderland Dreams, we have like the neutrals. Now, the neutrals are primarily an aggressive / like mid-range strategy as a whole. Now, granted, you are seeing like Saha decks and whatnot pop out of the woodwork, but like for the most part, it's still generally an aggressive playstyle, and that doesn't leave room for like control as a whole. Now, well, room for control as a whole in terms of like new cards. Now, you can have that, and that's fine. However, again, like the card pool is a lot shorter. Like in Magic, like the card pool is usually 150 plus cards, or sorry, it usually has 150 more cards than we do here in Shadowverse for the first set, and then we're still like missing cards for each like subsequent set, and that's important. Like even for Eternal, I think Eternal, despite only having like two sets, has more cards than we do. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. But anyway, to continue on with her thoughts. also is very playable and good control decks because the control decks will ideally, just based on other games, have a strong, preferably inevitable win con, which again is true around turns 8 or 9, and that's a completely reasonable point to reach even now. Just look at mid-range value Shadow. We just need cards and win cons that support the control oriented style for it to be a thing, and we're fairly close to being able to have that, and that's true. Like, there are some cards for some classes that would like support that kind of like support the theory that we might end up getting to a place where where we can have like more than one or two like viable control decks for each class, or sorry, more than one or two viable control decks for each or in each like metagame, which is pretty cool. Because at the moment, generally, when you want to play control, you're kind of limited to either playing Dragon or playing like Haven, and obviously not everyone can physically like afford to play Dragon because it's pretty expensive, and not everyone wants to play Aegis because Aegis for a lot of people is like, it's kind of boring for some people, and that's perfectly fine. Like for me personally, for the last like 2 or 3 sets, I've been messing around with Control Sword, which I actually like as a whole, because like it's a relatively unexplored concept. I mean, like, yes, I know that like players in the West have been playing around with it, but I don't think that the players in the West have been like doing a good job at that, which I guess I can like talk about that later, but yeah, like, but even though the Control Sword, even though like last like 3 or 4 sets of like they've got like some like really nice cards, the deck as a whole is still kind of bad because you don't really have like the tools to get to the places that you need to be. Like, you don't while yes, the card draw is nice, you don't really have like that many like good tutors. Additionally, you don't really have like ways to be alive in the face of aggro. Like, aggro is very, very prominent right now, and there's no real reason why only I only say like one deck it should be able to heal out of aggro if they actually wanted to, being that of Dirt Room with Veteran Alchemist. So yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of awkward because every expansion is relatively small card pool compared to most card games, missing like 150 for the first set in an MTG block, or around 75 for subsequent sets, I believe. So there's less space to fit those crucial push cards in the expansions, and they end up being further along, which again is true. And then here for her next comment, like, I was actually telling her about a game that I played versus Shadow where I was playing Control Sword, and I was playing with Leonidas, because honestly, I think Leonidas is actually a very, very good card, because as you know, for me, my favorite card is Poly, just because it's a card that was relatively unplayed for a while, and I just like the play style of it, because you kind of like, because you play like Control, then you kind of transition to being an aggressive control deck, to which you just you get your Storm Dragon each and every turn, and you just go ahead and you just like play to the board, and that's a really cool feeling for me. So naturally, for the other 2 decks that have similar effects, say Shadow and say Sword, I've been trying to like make like more viable things for those two classes work as well. In the case of Sword, that's Leonidas, because Leonidas, like, it's really cool because once you get the amulet, right. So I guess I should go ahead and backtrack here and go and tell you exactly what Leonidas is himself. He's a 9 mana 7/8 with Last Words. Play out a Leonidas Resolve. Now Leonidas Resolve is a 9 mana commander amulet, which you can only get from the Leonidas himself, and it says that creatures that enter that enter your side of the battlefield, they gain +3/+3 and rush. Now those are very, very 2 core stat things, because it automatically means that any creature you play afterwards is automatically the biggest thing in play, and it gets to decide trades for you, it gets you let to pick and choose how you're going to trade, and your opponent has to trade into you because you automatically have the biggest things in play. Now this is nice because it makes all of the like token cards that Sword like naturally has for a lot of its archetypes really crazy. The best two examples I have for this is, well, actually there are three, is Alwida's, Luminous Mage, and then Cloud Admiral Monica. So starting with Monica, which actually one of the ones I like the most. So now when you under Leonidas Resolve, when you play up a Monica, you'll have a 7/7 rush and a 4/4 rush, and then the 7/7 rush can evolve to clear out a third thing as well. Despite it itself, by being a 7/7, making it so it gets like a plus like 5 by itself with just the main body, and then like the token itself will usually be like a 1-for-1 or maybe like a 2-for-1 in your favor, and that's really crazy. For the Alwidas, you get, what is it, a 6/5 storm unit, and then a 5/6 ward Thatch Rush. That's pretty crazy value. And then lastly, for the Luminous Mage, and the Luminous Mage is honestly like I think probably the most dangerous of all of these. You get you get a 5/6 Luminous Mage who gives you free evolves and has to be killed, and then you also get a 5/4 Luminous Knight who you can evolve with the Luminous Mage to be like another 6/5, or sorry, to be another, I think it's a 6/6. No. Sorry, to get a 6/5, and then just, you know, that's really difficult for your opponent to deal with. So I really like that. I really like that concept a lot, and I'm going to be playing around with it a little bit more. I almost have a finished project, which I'll be showing in another video, but yeah, like, it was really cool because like I got to do that versus Shadow, and suddenly like he had Ektars, but like the Ektars didn't do anything because like all of his Ektars that had to trade and go phase, because like he couldn't leave anything up on the board because he had already taken some prior damage. And under Leonidas Resolve, Albert becomes a 9 mana, deal 12 to your opponent, or deal 16 if you have an Evo. 16 damage. That's pretty good. And it was pretty funny because like my opponent played like Odell to get the White Swan, and then he didn't realize that the White Swan was going to get buffed by my Leonidas. So like he just gave me a what is it? He just gave me a 7/8 for free that heals me at the end of each of my turns. so after he did that, he just kind of like shame conceded, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, but the issue is, of course, like, how do you get there? Like getting to turn 9, or sorry, getting to 9 mana, or even just, you know, turn 9. That's not an easy feat to do, and we don't really have the cards that support it, because again, you don't really have healing. Like, once you like lose a board in Shadowverse, you literally physically can't ever get it back unless you're at like 10 mana and you have like Grimnirs and stuff like that, or you're in a class that has like Themis or like Wrath effects. But that's still somewhat really hard to do. Like, so. But yeah, like, so it's just like really important that we kind of like, you know, start getting these cards. Now one thing that she and I both agreed on is that we do think that like Shadowverse is going into a direction where you can, you know, have those cards, because like they did print Roland, they did print Hero of Antiquity. Now, those are both very, very good control cards. However, the issue is those two are printed in different sets. That's kind of awkward, because obviously you can see the obvious synergy of how crazy they would have been together, but why are they printed in separate sets? Like, and things like that do matter, just because like obviously like interest per card, like it peaks when the card first comes out, but it kind of like wanes quickly after that if it's not like clearly like, you know, broken. Like, so for example, Myth of the Underworld was a card that was hyped a lot, but the card didn't actually do anything, so the card's like fallen into like obscurity. But yeah, so definitely just, you know, need more ways to come back from being half dead. Need a better like shell overall, and then like just, you know, finding better standalone win conditions that aren't quite like super oppressive, but are also, but they also still like do something. Now, control way back in the day, it did used to come down to just just like playing a bunch of removal spells, finding something big in your deck, playing out that big thing, and just smashing your opponent in the face with it like 3 or 4 times. However, I do think to some extent that control has evolved because naturally, evolution is a natural constant, and I think that now you need to be a little bit more aggressive in your control decks. But again, as a whole, I think we're pretty close to having that be a thing that happens. I don't think that it will speed up because control naturally is it's just primarily like denying your opponent their win cons. So as a result, like I can't imagine that it gets like faster to like say like turn 6 as a control deck you're just like winning. I don't know. Well, sorry, to turn 6 as a control deck you're just like blazingly far ahead of your opponent. I doubt that'll happen. But yeah. Hopefully I answered the question correctly. Cause for me personally, I'm a big fan of slower strategies. I don't play Grinder that much. Well, it's actually funny. I used to play Grinder a bit when I was playing like physical CCG games because those are like easier to get like enjoyment out of like Grinder games. But for online play, I usually play something that's like a little bit faster for the most part. Like not like terribly fast because I don't play aggro that much, but yeah, like one of my greatest like accomplishments as a free to play Grinder player was beating a $600 Esper deck with a bunch of skeletons. If you don't know what it is, Esper is a color combination in Magic. It's It's blue, white, and black. And it usually has like control. It usually has like control and like reanimator features to it. And yeah, like she kept trying to banish my skeleton, but I just like refused to like let the skeleton get banished, and I just kind of like beat her down with it. It was pretty funny. And, like the game lasted, I think maybe 20 turns or so. But yeah. So again, final time of me saying this. We will get there soon, someday. It's not a pipe dream. I do think that to some extent that like that people from both sides will have to make compromises. So obviously like grinder players will have to like make a compromise that like that they're not gonna be able to get their like 30 turn like fatigue games unless you're like playing something that has like that much value in it. So for example, Dragon with like a robbers. And that side games has to like maybe print out some like slower like control cards like they have been doing in the past. But yeah, these are my thoughts, as well as give me Azia's thoughts. So again, shout out to her for helping out so much with this. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I will try to upload the control sword video when I get around to finishing the product for it, because I have not been playing that much recently. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll